Welcome to Private Fame. Tonight's story is about Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Not just the president and the billionaire innovator, but two titans who once formed a powerful alliance, only to implode in spectacular fashion. It all started when Musk crossed the line, calling Trump's one big beautiful bill a disgusting abomination, and even questioning his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Trump retaliated by threatening to pull federal contracts and subsidies from Tesla and SpaceX. This isn't just about politics. It's about pride, power, and who gets to set the rules. From White House corridors to Twitter wars, Musk and Trump are now head-to-head in a feud that's as personal as it is public. So what happens when two of the most recognizable figures in modern fame decide neither will back down? And where do alliances go when loyalty becomes a liability? If you're staying with me tonight, like the video, subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from, and what time your night begins. Long before the headlines, before the presidency, or the rocket launches, there were just two boys on opposite ends of the world, each growing up with a hunger for more. Donald John Trump, raised in Queens, New York, was the son of a real estate magnate who believed in two things: winning and being seen winning. Elon Reeve Musk, born in Pretoria, South Africa, was the son of an engineer and a model, quiet, bookish, strange. He didn't talk much. He read encyclopedias for fun. Both boys felt the same gravitational pull, to be larger than life. One would build towers with his name in gold. The other would build ships to leave the planet. Trump's rise came through charisma, bravado, and spectacle. He learned early that attention was currency, and he could spend it however he liked. In the 80s, he plastered his name on buildings, casinos, planes. In the 90s, he became a tabloid fixture. In the 2000s, he became a television star. And in the 2010s, he did the unthinkable. He leveraged his fame, his controversy, and his instinct for performance into the most powerful office in the world, President of the United States. And the entire time he fed on attention like it was oxygen. Every insult was a headline. Every scandal was a rally cry. Every press conference was a performance. He didn't lead like a politician. He ruled like a ringmaster. Musk, on the other hand, was a builder, a dreamer. He didn't want the spotlight. At first, he wanted to make things, code, systems, engines. He sold his first video game at 12, fled to North America as a teenager, and by his 20s had founded Zip2, then X.com, which became PayPal. He wasn't famous yet, not really, but he was already playing in high stakes. After cashing out from PayPal, he dove into what everyone thought were losing bets: electric cars and space travel. But failure didn't scare him, it fascinated him. He burned through his fortune to build Tesla and SpaceX, nearly going bankrupt. He slept on factory floors, lost hair, lost friends, and finally, when it started working, he gained something more powerful than wealth. He gained a following. And this is where their paths began to align. Not in what they built, but in how they were perceived. Trump and Musk both understood instinctively that in the 21st century, power belonged not just to governments or corporations, but to those who could command attention. Not just followers, but devotion. Not just headlines, but obsession. For Trump, that devotion came through ideology. He turned political division into identity. Make America Great Again wasn't a policy. It was a brand. It was wearable, tweetable, chantable. His followers didn't just support him. They believed in him. They saw him as a vessel for their anger, their fear, their nostalgia. And Trump, knowing this, fed it daily. One post at a time. One rally at a time. One fight at a time. He didn't want unity. He wanted ratings. Musk, meanwhile, built his following through ambition. He wasn't selling the past, he was selling the future, colonizing Mars, replacing fossil fuels, building brain interfaces, creating a world run by artificial intelligence. And he didn't speak like a CEO. He spoke like a mad scientist, a Reddit poster, a prophet with Wi-Fi. He didn't just launch rockets, he live-tweeted their ascent. He joked about Dogecoin, posted memes at midnight, smoked weed on podcasts. His fans weren't customers, they were believers. And like Trump, he loved the feedback loop. Say something outrageous. Watch the world react. tweet again. Eventually, the two men saw each other. Not as threats, not at first, but as reflections. In Trump, Musk saw someone who could shift markets with a sentence. In Musk, Trump saw someone with the kind of fame that didn't need TV to survive. They courted each other. Trump invited Musk to the White House. Musk praised Trump's openness to innovation. For a moment, they were aligned. Disruptors, outsiders, masters of chaos who didn't play by the rules. But attention is a finite resource, and they were both addicted to it. The first cracks came quietly. Musk distanced himself during Trump's presidency, especially after controversial decisions on climate change. He left Trump's advisory councils. He criticized his handling of COVID-19, but he never went full rebellion. He hovered near the edge, always vague, always ambiguous. Trump didn't seem to mind, yet. Then came 2024. Trump ran for re-election. Musk, now the owner of Twitter, rebranded as X, suddenly controlled the single most powerful platform for political narrative. Trump, once banned, was now back, courtesy of Musk's free speech absolutism. The alliance seemed revived. Musk donated. Trump praised. Headlines declared a new power couple, the political titan and the tech king. But 2025 changed everything. It started with policy, boring on the surface. A massive spending bill, trillions in proposed investments and cuts. Musk hated it, especially the parts targeting electric vehicle subsidies and regulatory changes that could slow Tesla's expansion. He tweeted his rage, called the bill disgusting, said it was a betrayal. Subtext, Trump had turned on the future. Trump snapped. On his own platform, he lashed out, accusing Musk of disloyalty. He hinted that Musk's government contracts could be in danger. SpaceX, Starlink, Tesla, all touched by federal funding. It wasn't just a disagreement, it was a threat. Musk, unafraid and fully online, fired back. Not just policy criticisms, personal jabs, hints about Epstein, comments about instability. Suddenly, the alliance was rubble. Their followers, once overlapping, were now forced to pick sides. Musk lost billions as Tesla's stock dipped. Trump's allies warned him that attacking Musk could alienate tech-friendly conservatives. But Trump didn't back down. Neither did Elon, because this was no longer about cars or campaigns. This was about who controlled the narrative, and in this era, that's everything. The fight isn't over. It may never be, because both men crave the same thing, even if they won't say it. To be at the center of the story, to be the voice people quote, the face people love, or hate. They don't care if you cheer or boo. They just want you to look. And in the end, maybe that's the real story here. Two men who rose differently, believed different things, and built different empires, but were shaped by the same need. Not power in the old sense, but power through presence. Because beneath their armor, Musk's irony and Trump's bombast, there lies the same vulnerable truth. Neither man is capable of sitting still in silence. Not because they lack discipline, but because silence means irrelevance. And irrelevance to them is the only true failure. For all their wealth, for all the countries they've bent and platforms they've controlled, what they fear most is being unseen. So they talk, they tweet, they perform, again and again. Not for applause, but for dominance in a world where being noticed is the only guarantee you still exist. Trump's obsession with being center stage goes back decades. Long before the Oval Office, he was the walking embodiment of American ego. He put his name on steaks, board games, vodka, magazines, even a university. His name wasn't just branding, it was a symbol. A statement that said, "Look at me, I am winning." He knew how to walk into a room and rearrange its center of gravity. That wasn't by accident. He studied it, practiced it, perfected the art of provocation, the performance of power, and when the political stage opened up, he didn't hesitate. He brought reality television to Washington. He governed like he was still hosting The Apprentice, firing cabinet members on Twitter, holding court through call-ins, commanding attention with scandals and spectacles. But Musk? He was different. Quieter, at first. More internal. In interviews, he spoke like someone translating thoughts from a language no one else spoke. He wasn't trying to charm anyone, he wasn't building a brand, he was building systems. Things that would outlive him. Batteries, engines, spaceships, neural interfaces. His mind was rooted in the long term. His fans didn't worship him because he said what they felt. They followed him because he thought what they couldn't even imagine. To them, he was not just a genius. He was a prophet of progress, a man who could bend the arc of the future with a whiteboard and a dream. And yet, slowly, Musk changed. Fame began to feed him. Not in the traditional sense. He didn't chase red carpets or award shows, but through the rush of response. Every tweet became a moment, every meme a headline. He realized the power of unpredictability. The more erratic he became, the more the world watched. And watching, after all, is power. So he leaned into it. The masks at events, the viral one-liners, the tweets that tanked stock prices. He became a master of disruption, not just in technology, but in culture. He wasn't just building the future, he was owning the now. Trump saw that, saw the attention Musk was getting, and something in him tensed, because Trump had been the undisputed king of attention for years. No one could touch him. But now, people weren't just quoting Trump, they were decoding Musk, not just following him. They were investing in him, mimicking him, trusting his vision more than they trusted politicians. And that's when the friendship began to rot. Because two kings can't share one throne, especially not when the throne is made of screens. In private, Trump began complaining. Musk was ungrateful, disloyal. He'd given him access, praise, platforms, and now Musk was attacking his policies, questioning his leadership. Musk, for his part, grew tired of Trump's chaos. He'd once admired Trump's ability to upend the establishment, but now he saw it as noise, distraction, regression. Where Trump screamed about greatness, Musk whispered about Mars. They were heading in different directions but still pulling from the same spotlight. And then came the final fracture, when Trump made it clear that future EV subsidies would be slashed, that Musk's empire was not as protected as it once was. Musk understood what was happening. Trump wasn't just rejecting policy, he was punishing dissent. So Musk fired back, not with strategy, but with what he knew would sting most: exposure, Epstein references, doubts about Trump's mental state, posts designed not to persuade but to provoke. Trump responded like he always does, louder, angrier, more dangerous. He threatened Musk's contracts, accused him of betrayal, warned him publicly that if he didn't fall back in line, there would be consequences. And suddenly their war wasn't private anymore. It was live-streamed, tweeted, screenshotted, amplified. Musk's net worth dropped. Trump's poll numbers wobbled. Commentators scrambled, memes flew. And yet, underneath it all, neither man seemed truly shaken. Because in a strange way, they needed this. Enemies give you focus. Conflict gives you relevance. If they weren't fighting each other, they'd be fading. So here they are, two architects of chaos locked in a loop of provocation, one powered by digital instinct, the other by old-school charisma. One with rockets, the other with rallies. They orbit each other, now like two suns, each trying to eclipse the other, knowing full well that without the other, the light might dim. And in the glare of that double spotlight, what's being revealed isn't just a feud, it's a shift in the cultural center of gravity. For decades, Trump represented the quintessential American mythology. Bold, brash, unapologetically self-made, or at least self-marketed. He spoke in absolutes. He turned nuance into weakness. He made the outrageous feel inevitable. But more than that, he was the symbol of a country where image trumped reality, where you didn't have to build anything real as long as you convinced people you were winning. Elon Musk came from a different myth. He wasn't trying to sell the American dream. He was trying to rewire it. He didn't promise jobs or traditions. He promised Mars. He didn't wave flags. He designed flamethrowers and made brain chip companies. His version of power wasn't born in backroom deals. It was coded into systems, etched into algorithms launched on rockets. To his believers, he wasn't just a CEO. He was the last best hope for humanity. A flawed prophet, yes, but a profit nonetheless. And yet, the more power they gathered, the more alike they became. Both of them learned how to bend media to their will. Trump did it with scandal. Musk did it with chaos. Both dominated platforms they didn't create. Both had armies of loyal followers who would spin every misstep into genius. And both started to believe their own mythology, that they were not just in the spotlight, but were the spotlight, that the world didn't move unless they moved it. But no mythology survives reality. Trump, once a media titan, now finds himself locked into a narrower corridor of influence. His base is still large, still loud, but no longer growing. The mainstream platforms that once amplified him now filter him. His presence is vast, but not fresh. He is familiar, and in the currency of the internet, familiarity is the first step toward irrelevance. What was once disruptive becomes routine. The same sound bites, the same rhythms, the same threats. Musk, on the other hand, is still riding the wave of being unpredictable. Every post from him could be a joke, a lawsuit, or the start of a trillion-dollar company. But unpredictability is exhausting. And lately, his misfires on political alliances, on product promises, on public statements have been stacking up. The weight of multiple companies, of global scrutiny, of investor expectations is starting to show. And as he lashes out at politicians, at regulators, even at his own users, there's a growing sense that the genius is blurring into something more volatile. This is where their rivalry becomes tragic, because they could have built something together. Innovation and influence, brains and branding. But neither of them is capable of sharing control. Not over narrative, not over audience, not over destiny. Each sees in the other not a partner, but a mirror that distorts what they value most. Trump sees in Musk the kind of tech-powered relevance he can't reach. Musk sees in Trump the kind of raw populist loyalty he can't command, and so they escalate, post for post, threat for threat. They stage their conflict like they're writing a series, each chapter more sensational than the last. But underneath it all, you can sense the fatigue. The strain of two men who climb to the top of different mountains, only to discover there's no peace at the summit. Just more people watching, waiting, expecting something bigger. They can't step away. Not really. Because stepping away means giving the other the final word. And in their world, the final word is everything. It's the legacy, the brand, the win. So they keep going. Trump, forever doubling down, spinning old slogans into new threats, chasing a return that can't really be recaptured. Musk, turning his platforms into battlegrounds, chasing not just relevance, but ownership of the future's script. Each of them believing deeply that they are right, that the spotlight isn't just earned, it is owed. But the thing about light is this: it doesn't belong to anyone for long. It moves, and when it does, what's left isn't the applause, it's the cost, the weight, the echo of voices that once filled arenas now fading, the memories of posts that broke the internet now archived, the realization that attention, like all power, eventually burns out. And what then? That's the part neither man has prepared for, the part where the spotlight moves on, and they are left alone in the silence. Because while the spectacle plays out online and in headlines, a quieter battle rages beneath the surface, one far more consequential than retweets or press conferences. It's the battle for permanence, for legacy, for control over how the story ends. Trump understands legacy the way a builder understands concrete. To him, it's about name, weight, and scale. His whole life has been one long campaign to ensure that his name outlives his body. Trump Tower, Trump Golf, Trump President. He thinks in monoliths, in statues, in immortal branding. And that's why irrelevance terrifies him. If people stop saying his name, the empire dies. It's not enough to win once, he must win again and again and again. Because every moment of silence is a threat to the identity he built from marble and neon. Musk's idea of legacy is different, but just as heavy. He doesn't want to be remembered for being the richest or the most followed. He wants to be remembered as the one who moved humanity forward. That's why he talks about Mars, about extinction, about AI. He frames his work in existential terms because to him, that's how you matter. Not by building towers, but by pushing civilization beyond its limits. But even in this, ego lurks. Musk's obsession with scale, with being the first, reveals something deeper. He doesn't just want to be part of the future. He wants to be the reason it exists. So here they are, Trump chasing the past, Musk racing toward the future. And both are fueled by the same fear. The world might move on without them. And ironically, they've ensured that fear feeds itself, because their feud has become a spectacle of diminishing returns. Each insult feels more scripted, each warning more theatrical. Their audiences, once breathless, are now divided. Some still cling to every word. Others scroll past. You can only light the internet on fire so many times before the flames start to feel cold. But here's the twist. Neither man can stop, because they have built machines that only function in motion. Trump's political relevance requires provocation. If he isn't attacking someone, Biden, Musk, the media, he fades. And Musk's business ecosystem runs on attention. Tesla's value isn't just its cars, it's the cult around its creator. Starlink, Neuralink, X, they're all extensions of Musk's identity. If he stops tweeting, if he stops stirring the pot, investors ask questions. So they spiral. Not down, not yet, but inward. Into tighter circles of loyalists. Into narrower conversations, into louder declarations to smaller rooms. And still, they keep talking. Because if they stop, the silence might reveal the truth they've spent years outrunning, that the very power they mastered is unstable, ephemeral, and ultimately outside of their control. What we're watching, then, isn't just a feud. It's a slow public unraveling of two mythologies, each constructed over decades, each now cracking under the weight of expectation. And while the media frames it as conflict, and their followers defend it as strategy, the truth is far simpler and far sadder. They're afraid of being forgotten, not because they haven't accomplished enough, but because they've tied their worth to the amount of space they take up in our minds. They don't trust legacy to memory. They want to write it themselves. And in trying so hard to write it, they may be burning it down. They say that when Donald Trump first heard Elon Musk's name, he mispronounced it. Who's this Elon Musk guy everyone's raving about? He wasn't joking. Back then, in the early 2010s, Trump was still the world's favorite political longshot, reality TV warlord, and king of the gold-plated skyline. Musk was something else entirely. A man behind companies no one believed in, cars with no engines, rockets without governments. Trump thought he was soft, thought he was Silicon Valley's latest nerd god waiting to burn out. But Musk wasn't playing the same game. He wasn't buying towers. He was building escape plans. While Trump barked slogans about making America great again, Musk was designing the tools to leave Earth behind. And somewhere in the back of his mind, even then, Trump felt it. This wasn't just a tech guy. This was a rival, not in real estate, not in TV, but in relevance. That's the thing no one says out loud. All of this, every tweet, every press conference, every goddamn headline, it's about who matters more. That rivalry, it didn't start in 2025. That's just when it exploded. It started the moment Trump realized Musk had his own kind of church. Not crowds in stadiums, but a digital army. Not red hats, but avatars, laser eyes, profile pics drenched in irony. Musk didn't have rallies. He had retweets. And he didn't need to beg Fox News for airtime. He owned the channel. He bought the damn platform. For years, Trump tolerated him, even liked him. Behind the scenes, there were texts, calls. Trump once floated the idea of making Musk a kind of innovation czar if he won a second term. Elon laughed, but didn't say no. He liked the power. He liked being asked. He liked the idea that even Trump, with all his bluster, saw him as too big to ignore. But it didn't last, because ego doesn't share space. And in 2025, everything flipped. It started with the spending bill. $3 trillion on everything Trump thought the country needed, and everything Musk believed would kill the future. The bill gutted clean energy incentives. It handed gas lobbyists a win. It slashed electric vehicle subsidies. To Elon, it wasn't just bad policy, it was war. So he snapped. Not with strategy, with rage. He went online and detonated. The tweet was simple. This bill is an abomination. A betrayal of the future. Trump sold us out. It blew up instantly. And Trump? Trump did what he always does. He struck back twice as hard. He didn't just argue policy, he went for the throat. Ungrateful Elon, I made him. I saved his companies. Now he wants to pretend he's better than me? That was just the beginning. The next day, rumors started swirling. Trump was pressuring key defense officials to review SpaceX's government contracts. Someone from the Pentagon leaked a memo, one that mysteriously vanished minutes after publication, suggesting a need to reevaluate the influence of high-profile tech actors on American defense's infrastructure. Musk posted a single emoji, a clown, and then he dropped the bomb. Out of nowhere, a reply to a random thread. Funny how some names got left out of the Epstein files. That was it. No context, no accusation. But everyone knew exactly who he meant. Trump went nuclear, publicly threatened lawsuits. Privately, sources said he screamed in the West Palm offices for 3 hours straight. Someone close to him claimed he slammed a golf club through a monitor showing Elon's tweet. The markets tanked. Tesla lost $34 billion in value in 5 days. X began bleeding advertisers, but Elon didn't back down. Why? Because he wasn't trying to win a policy fight. He was trying to prove a point. I don't need you. You need me. And that's what terrified Trump most. Because for the first time since he rode down that golden escalator, someone else was controlling the story. Someone with better reach, bigger data, faster instincts. Someone who didn't need permission to flip the world upside down. And it wasn't just Elon's words, it was what he didn't say. He started liking tweets about Trump's age, about his lawsuits, about his grip on the party slipping. One morning, he posted a photo of a crumbling brick wall and didn't add a caption. The internet lost its mind. The symbolism wasn't subtle. Meanwhile, people inside Trump's orbit began to panic. Donors asked if this was going to be another DeSantis situation. Advisors tried to pull Trump back, told him to let it go. He refused. Because in his mind, this wasn't politics. This was betrayal, from a man he'd once led into the inner circle. But here's the twist. Elon wasn't trying to destroy Trump. He was just trying to build his own empire. One where he didn't have to ask permission. One where the king didn't wear a red hat, but a black mask, posting memes at 2 a.m. And somewhere in all of this, the rest of the world realized the truth. This isn't about the future. It's not about Mars, or taxes, or policy. It's about who tells the story when the world is watching. And right now, they're both screaming for the pen. Before the feud boiled over into headlines and hashtags, there was a strange kind of silence between them. Not the peaceful kind, no, it was something closer to the tension before an earthquake. A mutual awareness, loaded and coiled. The kind of silence between two men who knew, even then, that only one of them could stand in the center of the frame when it mattered most. In the year leading up to the public split, Trump and Musk had been circling each other with a kind of strained civility. Publicly, they'd trade careful compliments. Trump would call Elon a brilliant guy, strange, but a genius, usually followed by a wink or a dig about electric cars being a little quiet for my taste. Musk, in turn, would say things like, President Trump was disruptive in ways that helped certain industries, while conveniently ignoring the long list of ways they were politically out of sync. Behind closed doors, though, it was different. Advisors from both camps had been trading tense phone calls. Musk was pushing for a broader deregulation package that would streamline approval for experimental tech, AI, biotech, satellite expansion. Trump's people wanted a more traditional approach, heavy on defense, light on oversight. But more than anything, Trump wanted loyalty. He wanted Musk to fall in line, endorse the bill, back the agenda, praise the man. Musk couldn't do it, wouldn't do it. Not because he hated Trump. At that point, he didn't. It was something deeper, more personal. Musk didn't want to be someone else's subordinate voice. Not to the government, not to a party. not even to a president. So things started to shift. In cabinet meetings, Trump would casually refer to Musk as the wild card. When speaking with donors, he'd raise eyebrows and suggest that Elon was getting a little too comfortable playing God. At first, it was just friction. But then came the night in Texas. A private dinner hosted by a mutual ally, billionaire energy exec, a Trump loyalist with shares in Tesla, and a vested interest in keeping them aligned. The night started with laughs, cameras down, everyone relaxed. Trump was recounting an old story about the 2016 campaign, gesturing big, soaking in the room. Musk was quiet, eating slow, only chiming in when asked. But when the conversation turned to AI regulation, everything changed. "You start letting machines think for us," Trump said, swirling a glass of Diet Coke, "and you're one step away from losing the country. I don't like it." Musk raised an eyebrow. "You lost the country when people stopped trusting experts." "Experts," Trump said, scoffing. "I won without experts. Experts are overrated." And there was a long pause. Musk leaned back, fingers steepled under his chin. "You won because people were scared," he said, calm but sharp. "That only works until they get tired of being afraid." That was it. That's when the room froze. No one spoke for a full 10 seconds. Trump laughed first, too loud. "Well," he said, raising his glass, "good thing I'm not afraid of anything." Musk didn't smile. That dinner was never reported on, but everyone in that room remembered it. Something changed after that night. The texts stopped. The phone calls got colder. The tweets more pointed. The bill came weeks later. Trump's signature economic reform. And Musk's name wasn't in the footnotes. Not a line about tech deregulation. Not a word about incentives for Tesla or SpaceX. Just oil, steel, defense. It wasn't just exclusion. It was erasure. And that's when Musk turned. He didn't go to the media. He went to the timeline. A flurry of posts. Not obvious attacks at first, just criticisms, jabs, questions. Then came the viral tweet that broke the truce. Hard to build the future when yesterday's ideas are still in charge. No name, but everyone knew. Trump responded like he always does. Brute force. Truth social posts. Fox News call-ins. Accusations that Musk was turning on America, that he was too rich to care about the common man, that he got everything from the government and still thinks he's a genius. Within 48 hours, Trump allies in Congress began suggesting new hearings into SpaceX's military contracts. Conservative media began running stories questioning Musk's patriotism, his ties to China, even conspiracy theories about hidden AI labs. Musk fired back with screenshots, sarcasm, and numbers. Billions in revenue generated, jobs created, satellites launched. He wasn't just defending himself. He was launching a campaign, one designed to peel Trump's image apart from the inside. Less political, more philosophical. He started talking about control, about the danger of leaders who couldn't let go, about the rot that happens when innovation has to beg for permission. And now? Now the whole world is watching two of the most powerful men alive destroy the illusion that they were ever aligned. What does this mean for the world? It's bigger than a feud. Their split signals a fracture in the coalition that was holding a certain vision of America together, one of deregulation, disruption, and populist energy. Trump brought the cultural fire. Musk brought the technological future. For a moment, it looked like they were building something strange and new. But now, the future has no spokesman. The populists are leaderless. Tech is turning on its old allies. And in the vacuum, other voices are rising, quieter ones, less predictable, more radical. Investors are nervous. Global leaders are watching closely. Political strategists are scrambling to rewrite the 2028 roadmap. No one knows who to follow. Because when two stars, this bright crash, gravity itself shifts. Narratives collapse. New myths are born, and maybe that's the most dangerous part. Because in trying to control the story, Trump and Musk may have created something neither of them can steer. A generation raised on chaos, spectacle, and distrust, who now believe that power only works if it's loud, viral, and ruthless. And there are plenty of people watching, waiting, ready to wear the mask next. And chaos, once released, doesn't politely return to its cage. That's the thing neither Trump nor Musk calculated. In their hunger to outshine one another, to claim the alpha position in a world addicted to noise, they didn't just divide the public. They ignited something much harder to put out: confusion masquerading as clarity. They made the truth a moving target, because now every headline is filtered through allegiance. Every sentence, every clip, every post. It's not about what was said, but who said it. A Trump supporter hears Elon talk about AI regulation and thinks, globalist traitor. A Musk loyalist sees Trump on stage and thinks, prehistoric clown. The middle, whatever used to be called nuance, burned up somewhere around week 3 of their public war. And this is where things start to rot from the inside out. Media companies, desperate for engagement, picked sides quickly. One major cable network quietly instructed its producers to treat Elon like a rogue state. Cautiously, suspiciously, always with a hint of danger. Another network, famously tech-positive, turned Trump into a caricature. Red-faced, gold-chained, obsolete. The algorithms responded accordingly. People were either in or out. There was no middle. You couldn't support both anymore. You couldn't even listen to both without looking like a traitor. And behind the scenes, global leaders started calculating risk. Musk controls massive satellite networks through Starlink, and has the capability to black out communications in any region with the flip of a server command. Trump, meanwhile, commands a populist wave so large and volatile that a single speech can tilt elections in swing states or spark street-level unrest. Intelligence agencies began flagging both men, not as threats per se, but as volatile actors in a world where unpredictability has become the most dangerous currency. There are whispers, mostly off the record, that a shadow agreement was considered inside a UN subcommittee. Nothing official. But the idea was simple: create a back channel to keep both men monitored, not because of what they might do, but because of what others might do in their name. That's the true risk. Neither Trump nor Musk needs to press a button or sign a deal. They just need to say something vague, something primal, and watch millions move like water on a cracked floor. And what of the next generation? That's the part that keeps intelligence analysts and sociologists up at night, because the youth watching this spectacle aren't just seeing politics and tech feud. They're seeing a new blueprint for relevance. Don't negotiate. Escalate. Don't explain. Performance. Don't build bridges. Burn them and light your name with the flames. Kids don't want to be presidents or inventors anymore. They want to be followed. They want virality, command, audience. And to them, Musk and Trump aren't just men, they're systems. Symbols of a new kind of supremacy. The power to dominate the conversation, to make your worldview unavoidable. But symbols, like satellites, eventually fall. Because the longer this feud drags on, the more each man reveals his cracks. Trump's fury has started to sound brittle. His recent speeches carry more rant than rhythm, and even his loyal base is growing tired of the repetition. There are murmurs now, quiet but growing, that maybe he's past his peak, that maybe the crown is slipping. Musk, for all his genius, is unraveling in his own way. His timeline is erratic, his company's overstretched, his public appearances laced with an impatience that borders on contempt. Investors whisper about burnout, about the possibility that he's overextended not just financially, but spiritually, that the man who promised Mars can barely manage Earth. And so, the story turns, from titanic egos to slow disintegration, from dominance to disarray. They'll keep firing shots. Musk will post something cryptic. Trump will shout something incendiary. But the shine is wearing off. The audience is growing numb. What once felt like a clash of titans is starting to feel like two aging rock stars fighting over the mic while the crowd slowly leaves the arena. Still, there's danger in underestimating men like these, because when you're addicted to relevance, you'll do anything to get it back. which leaves one last question hanging in the silence. What happens when neither of them can win? Because attention isn't infinite, and the world is changing faster than either man can control. There are younger voices rising, new technologies accelerating, cultural tides shifting in ways that neither gold towers nor space rockets can predict. And if Trump and Musk are no longer the future, then what are they? Legacy or warning? Because the deeper you go into this story, the more it stops being about two men and starts becoming a parable about an era. Trump and Musk are not just individuals. They're symbols of what power looked like in the early 21st century. Loud, unfiltered, charismatic, untouchable, for a time. They each built empires around themselves, not institutions. And now, those empires are buckling under the weight of their creators' contradictions. In Trump's case, the contradiction has always been between his message and his method. He promises strength, but acts out of insecurity. He speaks for the forgotten American, yet lives in palatial estates. He claims to be anti-elite, yet he was born into privilege. That contradiction was easy to ignore when he was winning, when he was the surprise president, the cultural middle finger. But now, when the chaos feels less revolutionary and more exhausting, that contradiction has become harder to hide. For Musk, the contradiction runs even deeper. He promises the future while bending toward the past. He champions freedom of speech, yet censors critics on his own platforms. He claims to serve humanity, yet routinely belittles it. He sells the dream of progress, yet surrounds himself with figures who romanticize regression. He is the man who wants to build civilization on Mars, while flirting with cultural collapse on Earth, and in their rivalry, these contradictions become weapons. Trump accuses Musk of being a fraud, a man who made billions off government subsidies and now pretends to be anti-establishment. Musk retorts that Trump is a dinosaur, a relic of an angry past holding back the evolution of intelligence, technology, and governance. Their feud has reached such intensity that even their silences make headlines. And the world watches, with fascination, with fatigue, with fear. Because what does it mean when the two loudest voices of an era are tearing each other down? Not with policy, not with logic, but with performance. It means that the performance is the point. It means we're not watching leaders. We're watching actors who believe they've become the script. And that is the core danger. When men with real power start confusing influence with divinity, when they stop adjusting their course based on the world, and start trying to bend the world to fit the myth they've built around themselves. Right now, you can see that happening. Trump, isolated in luxury, surrounded by loyalists, speaking only to crowds that already adore him, attacking everyone who doesn't. Musk, flying between Tesla factories and boardrooms, still pretending to be the outsider even as his decisions send shockwaves through financial markets, labor trends, and international security. Both of them live in realities shaped by their own shadows. Both of them are too far in to pull out now. And so, the conflict continues. One day, it's a leaked phone call. The next, a sly jab during a podcast. Then a sudden drop in Tesla's value after a cryptic message from Trump's camp suggesting federal scrutiny. Then, an unscheduled speech where Musk, in his calm, deliberate tone, asks why America's vision is still being driven by people too afraid to imagine something better. People keep asking, who will win? But that's the wrong question. The question is, what does everyone else lose while they're still fighting? Because in the vacuum of their feud, critical issues go untouched. Climate legislation stalls. Space exploration loses funding. AI ethics remain a battlefield of corporate self-interest. And the very future Musk claims to want, and the country Trump claims to defend, drift further into instability. Young voters grow disillusioned. Older voters cling to the illusion of control. Meanwhile, rivals abroad, nations watching this slow implosion, begin to test boundaries. Subtle trade plays, quiet militarization, soft power grabs, because they understand what we are just starting to admit. A nation obsessed with internal celebrity warfare is a nation too distracted to lead. And that may be the most tragic part of all. That two of the smartest, most powerful men of our time have mistaken domination for leadership. That instead of building bridges, they build stages. Instead of passing the torch, they turn off the lights. Because what's the point of legacy if you can't stand in the center of it? What's the point of building the future if you don't get credit for it? In the end, neither of them will say it. But both Trump and Musk have been chasing the same thing all along: permanence. Not the kind built in stone or in law, but in memory, in story, in the myths we carry forward, long after the headlines fade. They both learned early that the world doesn't reward quiet genius or quiet patriotism. It rewards spectacle. So they became the spectacle. They made themselves the event. Trump built towers with his name so no one would forget it. Musk built rockets so his name could leave the planet. But memory doesn't work the way they think it does. You don't control it by yelling louder, or posting more, or winning a few more news cycles. Memory is slippery. It's shaped not by what you did, but by how people felt when you did it. And the truth is, both men made people feel a lot. Fear, hope, anger, possibility, exhaustion. They won't be forgotten. But how they're remembered, that's out of their hands now. Because eventually the screens go dark. The tweets get buried, the speeches fade, and what remains is not the mask or the microphone, but the impact. So when the noise dies down, and it will, what will we say they left behind? A better world, or just a louder one? Good night. Sleep easy. And may we all learn the difference between attention and legacy before it's too late.